Hi, my love.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Happy New Year. Happy New
Happiest of New Year's to
now.
you. Yeah, here we are. It's a hot day and we have some bushfires. Unfortunately, summertime and the fires just appear, don't they? So we've got fires around, a lot of smoke and a lot of flies, so we're a bit sticky. But in good spirits.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful summer so far. Very grateful. And sending you all lots of love wherever you are. Hope you're well. And 2021.
Yeah, we wanted to jump on and just have a talk about this phenomenon that is New Year's Eve and how it's really, we really hold a lot of importance to this tiny little date, which really does not have a lot of significance to most people. And I don't know about you, but when I woke up on the, well, first of all, we went to bed at, the girls and I went to bed at like 8 o'clock, so we missed the revelry. But I did wake up the next morning with this strange sense of hope and optimism, like, oh, it's New Year, you know, and I find that a very interesting phenomenon that for 351 days of the year.
Isn't it 365?
Yeah, but for 351 days of the year, we think it's same old, right. But then for this
Christmas, New Year,
for this Christmas and New Year period, well, we hang a lot on this time, don't we? We put a lot of our happiness and we rely on this date to give us a lot, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, what's to stop us every morning from waking up with that feeling of hope and optimism, with that feeling of like it's a new day. I can finally do what I want to do. Why does it have to be the new year for us to really take stock of our lives and for us to make these resolutions that we could have started at any time previously in the year?
Yeah, well, of course, it doesn't have to be that way, but I think it just came into my mind then, the normality, the collective experience of, I mean, especially in the US and parts of Asia, where a lot of people only get a week or two off throughout the whole year, which is around Christmas, New Year, like it's around this time. So I guess if you are working a job, especially if you're working a job that you don't love, you would be kind of hanging out for that week, wouldn't you? Where you got a week off, 2 weeks off, family, celebration, maybe you go on a vacation. Makes sense. And then in terms of New Year's resolution, if you've got regrets or you've lived some pretty shitty habits throughout the year, it is an opportunity, I guess. For many, there's a big hangover that comes with New Year's Day, and like potentially with that hangover is like, oh, I got to get my shit together. So that in combination with maybe, I mean, it's such a common experience of people not liking their job, even dreading it, hating it. So that, the year build-up of, oh, God, got to get back to work, combined with the very common New Year's Day hangover, I see it all the time, the hangover from Christmas to New Year's Day, the build-up of that hangover, the accumulation of it. Yeah, it does spark a lot of whew, I got to cleanse, I got to detox, I got to go on a 12-week program, I got to get my shit together. But as we well know and see a lot of, when it is operating from that vantage point, often it's very fleeting. It's very short-lasted. Not all the time, but typically if it is just more of a superficial or even just surface level motivation, it often doesn't go much further than that 12 weeks. Many are lucky if they even do get to that 12 weeks, which is a bit of a downer view of what we're talking about, but it's really common. And I think if any of you are in that rut, it's good to get really honest with that. And I guess the New Year's resolution is that, like, getting honest with it, which is better than nothing, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. Mm-hmm. I guess so.
But I agree, we should be able to wake up each morning and that's what I've been saying, like, Happy New Now. It's just like, Happy New Now, like today, this moment. Like, whether it's the peak of winter or spring or... I mean, that is pretty cool, the equinox celebrations and the summer solstice and winter solstice celebrations, which also can be...
That's actually a little bit of what I was going to get into. I was talking with our dear friend Pluma the other day, and we were talking about how our...
You talk. I'm going to get the girls out of the bath.
Sorry, we put the girls in the bath, trying to get a little moment, and they want to get out already. So yeah, I was chatting with a dear friend, and we were talking about how in this modern culture, we have really distanced ourselves from any things that keep us synced up with nature. For the most part, we live in cities, or we live in places where we have an obscured view of the sky. We're not aware of where the moon is. We're not aware of how the sun travels back and forth across the landscape over the various seasons. And it's not until New Year that we have a marker of, like, okay, time has passed and a new cycle is beginning. Whereas if we were more connected to nature, we would be aware of the new moon, aware of the full moon, aware of the equinoxes, aware of the solstices, and there are numerous times, aware of the sun coming up and the sun going down. There are numerous times for us to mark the end of a cycle and the start of a new cycle. And for the most part, we're all locked into this Gregorian calendar that doesn't even make sense. It was hijacked. One culture hijacked it from another culture, and then tried to change it and make it their own. And it really has no or very little synchronicity with the natural cycles. And so when we run our life to this calendar, there's only really one significant date, and that is the end of the year as the start of a new cycle. The end of the Gregorian calendar, this sort of random time in space that has no astrological alignment, it has no real significance. And so we all put our hopes and dreams into this cycle of, like, oh, it's a new cycle, but in and of itself, it's quite it's quite empty. It's lacking power. It's lacking alignment. So yeah, it's no wonder that people jump on the New Year's Eve wagon as the one of the only points in time that give them the opportunity to like say, oh, a new cycle has begun. Were you listening to what I was saying?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's that's why there's a lot of disappointment in this date, because it's quite arbitrary, isn't it? It's quite arbitrary, this date.
Yeah.
This calendar that we're run by, this year that we're all sort of celebrating, like most of us have lost connection to what that even is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So how does one get in tune with the sunrise, the sunset, the changing of the seasons, these kind of peaks of renewal? I guess you got to get interested in it, don't you, for starters? And
yeah, you absolutely do, and you need to step outside, and you need to look to the sky, and you need to get in touch with your surroundings. And for example, in our house we don't have blackout curtains. We have very sheer curtains that don't block out much light at all. So we're very aware of when the sun goes down or where the sun comes up. We really do wake up with the sun, and we've done that intentionally. We've kept a lot of the windows in this house don't have any coverings whatsoever. So that's one way that we keep in sync with the sun. The cycle of the sun. But you do need to get outside. You do need to look in the sky. Where is the moon? And maybe you can start to feel into what the moon cycle is. Seasons. There's so much power contained in the equinoxes and the solstices, these times of astrological alignment where there is a shift. There's a palpable shift in the natural world, and it's a cue that there should be an inner shift, like this is a time for an inner shift and to move into a different direction. But if you just have Groundhog Day the entire year and just wait for this one random time in space, this new year, to have that shift, well then of course there's a massive amount that you would want to do, because you haven't done that throughout the year. You haven't reflected and gone inside and then birthed a new you with the new season. So there's a lot hanging on this one little time. But it ends up to be a global party, doesn't it?
It does. And I partied. I did. This New Year's Eve.
Oh my goodness.
And it's so funny because like I mentioned to you when I was out, pretty much every time I do go out and people recognize me, maybe fellow yoga practitioners, often there'll be at least a couple people that are surprised that I'm out of a nighttime, possibly even with a drink in my hand, like shocked. Yoga teacher out at a bar, at a party. But it was fun. It was fun. Like I get why there is that peak celebration, like for all kinds of reasons, but coming back to like because a lot of people, if they're dreading their job, they're kind of looking forward to the weekend, aren't they? To let their hair down, to have some drinks, to celebrate. And from that vantage point, it's kind of understandable. It's not good enough. We can all do much better than that and live a beautiful life every day. But if we're operating from that place, it's kind of understandable. And then again, get to this kind of tipping over from midnight to a new year. And I mean, again, it's all fabricated and imaginary, and none of it's real anyway. This whole construct of the way we look at time and the way we look at the calendar, how the Christian calendar is just being kind of imprinted in as the way. It is bizarre, yet I get it at the same time. Why there is that big build-up, and like I think it can be used wisely as well. Like even that night, the party I went to, I saw some people celebrate deeply, and then they kind of chilled after that big peak celebration, and you could feel a bit more of an introspecting energy. And even some people pulled out a journal, and it was still quite a full moon, and some people were journaling and writing stuff down. It was quite beautiful, you know? So it seemed almost like a cathartic sparklers and champagne popping and
riff on that. I'm going to get the kids out.
Okay. So I get it, especially if we are lacking other modes of ceremony, like what Joe was talking about with the summer solstice, winter solstice, and the equinoxes, which can be viewed as real ceremony and gatherings to really go deep and reset and introspect and tune in. Especially if one doesn't have that type of connection, then this whole New Year's Eve celebration totally makes sense. But back to the journaling thing, I really do think that's a valuable way we can all tune into the richness of each day and reflect on any toxic habits without judging them, without getting hung up on it, just being aware, being accountable, and envisioning how we want to flow today. Journaling's been a huge part of my life. I don't do it as much today in this right now, but I most likely will draw upon it, and we'll draw upon it again. I just went hard on the journaling for years, and then since being a dad, I've let it go a bit, but I will definitely bring it back in at one stage, at one time or another. But I do see the value in it, to collect our attention, to harness it, to gather our attention and focus it. It's a really great way to do that. It feels very much like the opposite of scrolling blindly, scrolling in that kind of trance-like state on the phone. Feels like the opposite of that. So getting pen to paper, pencil to paper, and envisioning, reflecting, and channeling high intention and vision. It's such a powerful practice, and I really do think that's one way we can embrace each day and not so much need New Year's resolution or kind of 12-week quick plan, or I'm all for even like a cleanse. There's a lot of people poo-pooing doing a cleanse, but I do see the value of doing a cleanse to help us reset and get a fresh state of body and mind. But yeah, sitting down, getting quiet, writing shit down, just writing can be a great cathartic and visioning experience. And What I was just talking about there, babe, is how journaling can be a great way to keep in the flow and keep things fresh, and that kind of introspection that a lot of people do around New Year's and envisioning a better way, a better future, is a good way to cultivate that daily, weekly, monthly, that kind of dual effect of checking in and introspecting and staying accountable, writing stuff down, our kind of shortcomings or our addictive habits, or where we're sabotaging ourselves, getting honest with it. Writing it down seems like an effective way to have a more witnessing, objective viewpoint rather than just thinking about it, getting emotional about it. Kind of just writing seems to shift it into almost like talking about it with a dear friend or a therapist or something like that. Journaling, I feel, does have that effect. And then there's power to writing down a high vision, like we've talked about previously with designing your future, dreaming your future, imagining it, designing it. Writing it down is a great way to tune in.
I think there is an art to journaling, however, because in my experience, when I used to journal, I edited myself. You know, it was as though I was writing for an audience, and it was a little bit self-conscious. So what I found great were the technique of morning pages. Have you done the artist way?
No.
So those of you who've done it will know what I'm talking about, but if you haven't checked it out, the Artist's Way is a program that is meant to really kickstart your creativity. And part of the course is that you do these morning pages, and you have to write 2 pages every morning, and it is just stream of consciousness. So you can't sit and think about it and construct the perfect sentence and really, you know, speak in a way that you wouldn't ordinarily. You just have to stream of conscious write. And if nothing comes out, then that's what you write. Nothing's coming out. I'm not sure. I'm feeling a little this or that. But ultimately, by the time you get to 2 pages, there'll be a little nugget of something that was purely creative and something that came out that surprised you, but it was real, you know. So that is a good way to get into it if you're just sitting there, again, editing yourself and thinking that it's a performance or, you know, it's for show.
Well, that's great. Yeah, that's good you brought that up. And I think that tendency to edit the journaling also translates to that tendency to over criticize, over edit your creative flow. For example, like we all know that feeling when we've had creative inspiration, creative insight, a vision, a goal, and then it's time for rubber to meet the road and get it done and put things into motion. And that's a whole nother thing, isn't it?
Like my book.
Like your book and podcast, like, yeah, you it's all valid. You've been full-time mothering, but it's also something worth just getting candid with because it's so common. So common. We see it in dear friends. We see it all around us. There's one thing to have that vision and then to make it happen with integrity, with all that. It's deep. It's confronting. It's revealing. And it takes hard work. Like you really got to put energy into it. So the journaling thing can be really revealing of like, so we're over editing just as we ride it, which very common. Similar could be put to like when one goes to sing, are they shy and editing that mode of expression, or about to paint, and then it brings up like childhood trauma, getting slammed when like getting told we're not good at something. I think most people can relate on one level or another of going to do something, and then that resistance of wanting to edit it and make it come off in a particular way. So this achievement model, what that's bringing me to is like this yearning for external validation, which can be revealed even with the journaling. So even that journaling, like Joe brought up, unedited, just stream of consciousness, letting creativity just flow. That uninhibited trust we can tune into daily, but it's standing right on the edge. It's very confronting to our small little ego. So when Joe gets back, it'd be good just to pick that apart a little bit more. We're just setting up the girls for the evening with dinner and a little summer movie time. But let's talk a little bit more about that, because you've got some big visions for this year, and
yes,
I think
really do.
It'd be nice to keep talking about it and keeping it visible and keeping you like motivated and supported and accountable, and like it we know that feeling when you've got a big vision and like it's a big energy behind it.
Yeah.
And then that kind of maybe a few ways we can language it, but that small self or self-conscious self or like conditioned self, that resistance. Can you identify with that with any of these current visions, or you're feeling it flow and you're feeling real good?
I don't think that's my issue. I have always been a person who has generally done the things that I set out to do.
Oh, totally.
And I do believe that it has just been the fact that I've been tired, co-sleeping with babies for 8 years and really getting very little sleep.
No, I agree.
I've been smashed, and even though now I'm getting a little bit more sleep and I'm still feeling a little vital, I think I have a sleep debt of 2 years. I think if I just went to sleep tomorrow and slept for 2 years, I would wake up and that would be equivalent of the debt that I have. So I'm not getting up early in the morning to write. If I do get up early in the morning, I'll sit and I'll meditate, but I won't get up and do writing because I feel the meditation is more important. And it's the same with at the end of the night. I'm not going to put the girls to bed and sit up and write. I'm going to go to sleep myself, because for me, the first part of the night's sleep is usually the best I get. Then from 1 to, wake up time, I'm on and off. So I do need to address that. And
it's a work in progress, getting there.
It is a work in progress, and it's going to be a lot of you and I coming together and just carving out time and leaning into our community and seeing how we can get help. And we know that we won't have little babies forever. We do have these big, lofty dreams and aspirations. So they will happen. They will happen. There will be time.
For sure.
There will be a light. But I don't think we should get so disappointed in ourselves.
I agree. And
because we've been doing it real we've been full-time parenting, haven't we? We've been full-time tag team.
Yeah, there hasn't been much time. No, you're
much.
right. And no, I apologize for saying that editing mentality is what's not having you write the book. I just know it's so prevalent. It's so common.
Yeah.
And I know, I think we can speak to that a little bit more. Like, so yeah, getting honest with stuff like that of like, there's a common narrative in, you know, gym talk and motivational talk of like, can always find time to get it done. But there's some aspects of your life, and we do talk about this a bit, where there's literally no time left, which is where the phase we've been in for the last few years, really.
Especially when you're co-sleeping and homeschooling.
Yeah. So, of course, there are ways to make it happen, but like you said, if you're sleep deprived, yes, I could get up way earlier to get shit done, but I got to get some sleep. I got to sleep. Could get up early and do this, that, and the other. No, I need that fuel of meditation. I need that insight. So that's beautiful to get honest with. Again, rather than beating ourselves up that we're not getting our big visions done yet, tuning into the Tao, tuning into the flow in which having that vision, yes, we can make it all happen now, that whole thing. At the same time, tuning into nature and our need for sleep, and especially if you are caring for others and elder or young kids, it all changes in which it's not about you. It's not about you and your vision. It becomes about us and others, and so that is beautiful, you know, because we are such a, again, achievement model culture, and we can really beat ourselves up if, okay, New Year's resolution, big visions, big goals, and then we don't achieve them. We feel like a failure, and it can be a vicious cycle.
Well, there is I think we may have even talked about it in this podcast, that there is a common way of setting resolutions that set yourself up for a loss and eat away at your own self-worth. Right. So, you know, for example, I'm going to lose weight.
Right.
Because you don't feel good enough inside, right? That's why you would say that. Whereas in yoga, when you have a resolve, a sankalpa, you would say, I want to feel healthy and vibrant. And I want my body to be easeful when I move through my day. So to help me get there, weight loss is going to be part of it, and then also a whole lot of other things that are supportive. So it's just a different way of saying it. You claim that it's already happening,
which seems simple, but it's actually huge. Like the amount of times I pull up regular, like, students, especially privates, where we're talking a lot of the time, talking about stuff. And the amount of times I hear from people like with the weight loss thing, like I want to lose weight so I can finally get a boyfriend, so I can finally get a girlfriend, so I can finally so it's all outcome based. It's not like what you're talking about is a feeling. I want to feel light, I want to feel clear, I want to feel radiant, I want to feel like energized. And often that's we can talk about it, but it's actually quite a huge breakthrough to be motivated from that place of feeling, of like energy.
Yeah, because that's the yoga. We do not see that in our environments. Advertising is all about pointing out how much of a failure you are and how you won't be happy until you use this fabric softener, where, buy these shoes or whatever it is. Yeah. Take this headache tablet, use this tampon, and that's your happiness will not come about until you get this thing external from yourself. And that's always going to set you up for a failure. So the yoga practice is to go inside. No, it's just this, it's just how I want to be on the inside. And you have total control over that, how you want to be on the inside. You have complete control over that. And that's empowering.
So what do you think of these cleanses and diets and programs to help people kind of break the cycle and cleanse and get renewed? Because I am seeing a movement of anti that, like poo-pooing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of it. So the whole like fat shaming thing, it's kind of part of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a necessary part of healing. I remember when I had severe eating disorders and also was abusing exercise.
Right.
And part of my healing was to just completely throw all that out, eat what I wanted to, put on a bit of weight, and love myself.
Sure.
And it was a very, very, very important part of my own healing. So people who are doing that, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then you can even go deeper than that. Then you can, it may well be that your best self, most vibrant self is in in this place of not having to count your calories, not having to go out for a run, not having to, put all these restrictions on yourself. The image of the roly-poly laughing Buddha, this big tummy and this just vibrant smile, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have different. You want a different experience in life. You want to be able to do more extreme things. You want to be able to, challenge yourself, and and in that case, you would want to streamline your body, wouldn't you? You would treat your body more like a machine, and you would train your body to get to that point.
No, I like that. I think part of it is we like to separate things into clubs, don't we? Into tribes, and yet it's all individualized. Like, what's important to you? Like, how do you want to feel? What's your karma? Like, maybe you will legitimately be happier, feeling light and streamlined and fit, And maybe that's not actually necessary for this journey, and you can just be and relax. And
that's right.
So there's so many variables, so many subtleties to it in which, but yeah, that kind of, that tendency to polarize between. So like if someone truly is fit and healthy and radiant and in the flow, from that very fit, healthy vantage point, they're not going to be fat shaming people. They're not going to give a crap. Like, they're not going to be judging. Similarly because what I'm thinking of is sometimes when overweight people lose weight, especially those in the spotlight, well-known people, they actually get shamed for losing weight.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So this kind of tribal, like, oh, well, you were with us and now you're not. So this identity of, been seeing a bit of that. This kind of anti-health and anti-fit, and also the other way, this polarizing, in which just let people flow, let people find their journey. You know, there can be a time to have a bit of restraint and restriction, and maybe have a little cleanse, or like, it's all an exploration. And
yeah, but I mean, I do see fit, healthy, vibrant people who are mean and nasty.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it goes both ways, for sure.
That does not necessarily equate to
happy.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
At all, yeah.
Yeah.
What I would say about the cleansing thing is, I would just like people to research what it is that they're doing, if it's drastically different from what their body is used to. Because, you know, back in the day when I was doing a lot of radical cleansing and you know, just because of that, lost a phenomenal amount of weight, and my hormones just went haywire, and you know, I had a lot of issues come out of that. So it would be good for. It is a great thing to do, to clean up, and every now and again, and you know, just give your body a rest, but you don't want to stress your body out. So I would look to support if I was going to do a cleanse.
Yeah.
I would look for a little bit of support, or just do a bit of research about it.
Yeah, everybody's different. And
yeah. And
in
fact, sorry.
No, you go. You're on a flow.
And in fact, that's one thing that I was thinking of when we were talking before. It's such a great idea, if you have the means, to get a coach. Yeah. To get a writing coach, you know, to get a business coach, to get a nutritional coach, like whatever it is that you really want to achieve. Like, have someone on your team who's done the thing and can really give you some tools. It's such a great idea, if you have the means to employ people on your side to give you those little hacks.
Yeah, we could do with more of that. You know, we're feeling the inspiration to call in more support in a whole variety of ways this year, tutoring for Soleil, but also assistance for us, and I totally agree. And even if the means isn't there, the financial abundance isn't there, it is an incredible time in that way, in terms of collaboration and online support. Maybe it's not even like one-on-one. There's a lot of like courses and stuff like that. Just got to get interested, don't you? You got to get interested. You got to be willing to create the conversations, put that energy out there. Get interested. Like, where's our attention going? If we're really wanting to hone in on something, like, are we just scrolling and streaming and scrolling and leaking out our energy, or could we funnel it into that thing? Because most of us do have time and the means, but this scrolling thing and this streaming phenomenon, it can really put us into a trance that is very seductive and inert, very thick, and can cloud our vision quite rapidly. So calling in that type of external support at the same time being diligent. If we're doing it all online, which a lot of people are right now, doing nearly everything online, that diligence and discipline that's really needed to like stay true to the vision and what we want to get done today, because it's so easy to like be on this incredibly powerful tool, and before we know it, we're sent down a whole nother tangent.
Rabbit hole.
A rabbit hole, because they're, as most people are very well aware of now, they're pretty much designed to do that. So to stay focused, it seems part of the yoga practice now, to apply that kind of one-pointedness of attention that we cultivate in yoga, put that into the phone as well, or the computer, so like we can stay productive. And I truly do feel it's going to become like a superpower, that ability to discern and actually have autonomy and discernment with what we do with our attention, as all these like energy zapping things in our periphery are getting more full on, to be able to like actually pay attention to what we want to pay attention to. I mean, it seems common sense, but it's a struggle.
Wasn't it wonderful having dinner with our dear friend Jordan last night and talking about how this private school is bringing in a 3-week period for
Rite of passage.
Year 9 boys, which is a rite of passage where they go, they leave their families, they leave their devices, and they, they spend time getting real.
Yeah.
How phenomenal is that?
Amazing. Yeah. This program, it's only been installed for a couple years, and again, our dear friend is being hired to be a part of it, and it's just so exciting to see that, because once again, it's a confusing world, and there's a lot of energies out there that are very distracting and potentially toxic, and in that pivotal period, 14 to 15, I mean, Joe and I have often reflected and talked about with all of you at that time in our life and how confusing it was, and that teenage angst and that tendency to rebel. I can definitely reflect back to a very palpable feeling of craving some kind of discipline, some kind of platform to help me grow up, and without having the guidance to do it intelligently and wisely, I would party with older people and push my body to its edge with skateboarding and surfing, and just throw my body around recklessly, and it ended up being very toxic, but it even in spite of my recklessness, it did serve a kind of rite of passage in which I look back at the more toxic, unconscious choices, even in spite of my lack of awareness. There was a bit of a rite of passage. So to see this rite of passage platform getting installed very very consciously, very intentionally. It's exciting to see that put in place.
So exciting. So exciting. And, we all need that rite of passage, don't we, in different periods of our life, coming into parenthood, coming into your middle-agedness. Speaking about that, all these different phases in your life where you really need to mark the fact that an old cycle has finished and a new cycle has begun. And that's such a powerful practice and a yogic practice, to let the old you die off.
Yeah.
To not try to construct this one singularity and pull it through your whole life, to let yourself go and dissolve.
Yeah.
And then just witness this new being that you are.
Right.
Who's wiser and able to hold more of life, with an openness without contracting.
Yeah, totally. Dying before we die. I mean, didn't even think we'd bring that into the conversation, but that is a powerful way to resolve and break vicious cycles and old addictions. Like that actually got brought into my class on Saturday. Like, it was just such a deep, focused class. We really, with Shavasana, corpse pose, really brought that in, dying before we die, that spiritual death. And can often tell in a full room of practitioners when people are like receptive to it, or if it's like you can just feel it, the cringe factor. But I could just feel people very ripe, very focused, very receptive, that it felt like a good thing to dive into. And which it was. I mean, the feedback was beautiful and powerful. And it's interesting how even long-term students will often admit, like, again, in the one-on-one context, that they really don't want to get into that contemplation, like anything but that. They'll often admit that. Even just contemplating death, contemplating impermanence, it's very common to not even want to go there at all. That tendency to deny it, even though it's right here. It's right. What does Dom Juan talk about? Like, keep death on your shoulder. Like, it's the only true counsel, the only truth, death. And it can really, just like that kind of tough love of cutting through our insecurities and our doubts and feelings of not being valid, not being worthy, not being legit. If we really dive into it, it can just burn through all that egoic kind of knotting that we tend to identify with and really hold as a kind of suit, this meat suit of who we think we are. So that, who do I think I am? Letting that kind of die again and again and again. It's scary. It's really scary, but it's also worth bringing in, like, well, who's it truly scary to? Like, that spiritual death, like, what does it actually scare within us? And it's that same location that gets scared of death, that gets scared of what other people are going to think when you create that, whatever you want to create, that book, that podcast, what are people going to think? Are they going to judge me? What are my family going to think? Who will I be? Like, all of that tends to disable people from really stepping into their highest purpose and their vision. like all that can also die.
Yeah, and I mean, this comes back to the whole New Year's thing, doesn't it? It's this this excitement because there is a newness, because there is this prospect of letting the parts of ourselves that we don't like die off. So that is a wonderful thing.
Isn't it interesting though? Like when it's done unconsciously. Like how many people just drink and take drugs and like until they're almost dead.
That's
and
right,
a lot of
they're
people do die
obliterated.
on it, and just like, and then that hangover that lasts for days. But
it is a death of sorts,
death of sorts,
isn't it? So they
yeah.
get to experience their own annihilation, but it is done unconsciously.
Right.
That is definitely one way to do it. And I think that, again, people are aware that this is their one time of the year where a cycle or the birth date, maybe that's another time in the year where it's like this cycle happens. And bless you.
thank you.
And that is why people put so much expectation on this one time or on their birthday. There's this need for the perfect thing to happen, the perfect situation to happen, because so much is riding on it. This is their, this is their auspicious ceremony that's going to clock over a new cycle. But done in this unconscious way, it's really very seldomly has lasting effects, and usually it's just a lot of letdown, and before you know it, you're back on the hamster wheel doing the same old, and then just hanging out for the next new year where you had a glimpse of this death that we're talking about. You had a glimpse of this opportunity of renewal, but it just wasn't enough anchoring into the now for it to happen. There was a whole lot of expectation. As I said, anchoring into the now, I just looked up at our Be Here Now clock.
Yeah.
Have this beautiful clock from the Love, Serve, Remember Foundation.
I'll show everyone. I'll pull it down.
And the time is now. It's always now o'clock. Now, every hour is now.
It's now o'clock.
It's now. And it's funny because Soleil, our daughter, we've been spending all year teaching her how to tell the time on a clock and how to know whether it's morning, whether it's night, what day of the week it is, what season it is. It's taken a lot of effort for us to construct her into this time grid that we all live on, because she really did not have a clue. And then when she saw this clock, she was trying to think about, well, why is it now? And after all this work of like constructing this time reality for her, we're then going to blow her mind by saying like, well, when is it not going to be now? And she said, well, tomorrow.
Yeah.
So then we said, well, let's have a look at the clock tomorrow. And then tomorrow came. Okay, what's the time? And she's like, oh, it's now.
That's so cool.
So even though there is these artificial time markers that we've created, the truth is it's just now. It's just now.
Isn't that a cool, hopefully, thing to be even slightly aware of as a child? Like being both in time, yet beyond time, just now. Like even just to plant that seed of, because I even have, I've wrestled with that paradox of like, what is this fabrication of time, and hearing wisdom teachings such as like time is an illusion, there's no such thing as time, and then having peak experiences of like pure nowness and the true illuminated moment of beyond time, in which ultimate truth it is there's no such thing as time. Then why do we fabricate it? Why do we put so much emphasis on it? Why are we looking at the clock so much? How cool to bring in that kind of paradoxical awareness. There can be both time and no time, just now, both. Because we do live in a dualistic world in which there's both. And I think that's just great. And I mean, many adults, even just hearing this, for many people, it blows their mind of like, what? No such thing as time. Like a lot of people haven't even heard it now. So it is pretty massive, and it's quite funny that you brought that up in regards to Soleil, like putting all this energy into reading the clock and getting used to time, and then like blowing her mind with time is now.
It's just now.
Because it blows adults' minds, let alone a kid.
Right,
you know?
That's right. I had a peak experience in Peru where I was in a journey and it was timeless. It felt like I was there forever.
Yeah.
This journey was just forever, lifetimes. And then my conscious mind clicked in and it said, oh,
what's the time?
I wonder what time it is. I feel like I've been here forever. And then all of a sudden, it was sunrise, and like all of the reality just fixated again, and I got kicked out of that timeless space because the conscious mind was reaching for time. And but it was such a brilliant look behind the curtains of what this timeless space truly is. But how in this reality we need to construct solid ground beneath us. You know, we can't just operate in this ethereal space. It's not what this dimension is about. So we need to construct these things of like, okay, we were talking about carving out time to do our things, weren't we? It's funny that we've
carve it out.
we've come full circle around to this realization, but it's all part of the cosmic joke, isn't it? That it doesn't really exist, but it really does, and it's precious.
Yeah, that's
Moments
part of the balance,
precious.
though. Like to be optimum with our usage of time, it helps to have contact with timelessness, doesn't it? Like, what's the time now? Like, being fully here is the best preparation for the future. And like, if it's so fine, it's so like deep to be skillful with time, at the same time not obsessed with time, you know? Like, often people in these eye-gazing exercises we do it for at least 20 minutes, and most people, like, that overwhelms them when I say, like, all right, I'm going to put the timer on, we're going to do this for 20 minutes, you're going to be sitting still, eyes open. Most people freak in one way or another if they haven't done it before. 20 minutes! But then, so commonly, people share like, wow, that felt like 2 minutes, it just went. And it keeps revealing that slippery nature of time. Like, and we all know what it feels like when we're doing something we really love. We're really into it, we're really present with it. And it either goes, it both goes really quick, and or it's that kind of cosmic, timeless experience, like
Flow
what you were sharing.
state.
Flow, like that could have been in eternity. I was just so in it. It both went really quick, yet felt like a lifetime. So it is cool to really savor that trippiness of those timeless moments, like taste it. And we can't hold on to it. We can't grip it. But just like we can't hold on to time, we also can't hold on to timelessness. But part of, I think, the illusion of the human experience is we neurotically try to, so like you were saying, we put these things in place to create time and space and the calendar and our schedule, and we put it in place. We carve out time to try to hold it together and stay in control. Most people develop a whole lot of tension, this rigidity of like, because we know we're not in control of much. But that's pretty scary to really get honest with that, to let go quite a bit. So a lot of the tension that we have is like being trapped by time, really being confined, pretty much imprisoned by time. And we think when the body dies, that's it, time's gone, and we're in denial of that. Coming back to the impermanence thing, the death thing, we're gripping to time. There's not enough time. And like, it's just crazy. I mean,
it is. And then I'm laughing at myself, who's at the opposite end of the spectrum, who refuses to wear a watch,
right,
who doesn't put anything in a calendar, who's pretty always like, oh, I forgot that thing because I didn't write it down, or oh, I forgot that thing so I don't have a watch on. There's a balance, isn't there? There's a balance.
Yeah. Totally. Like, how do we become skillful with time so we can, like, for me, it's also like respecting others. I hate being late to stuff out of respect for their time, like, because we put so much value and emphasis on time and the whole, like, time is money and time is energy.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, and trying to be good, like, just, part of the yoga for me in just looking at it objectively is like, how can I be skillful with time and like respect other people's time, because we're all just operating on this plane so deeply, at the same time not be confined with it. Where's the tension in regards to time? Where can I loosen up and be here now? Because it can't. Often it's either or. Mm-hmm. Often we're so present, so in the moment that we're shit with time, and we forget meetings, and then it lets people down, and it's just annoying, and then we beat ourselves up, and very common,
Yeah.
That balancing act, and
for sure, it is a balancing act, and I think this may, in fact, just be a good thing to circle back to, and maybe a nice ending point is that, there are these moments when things align. Like when I first started getting very interested in the equinox and the solstice and looking historically at what those periods were throughout different cultures. So many societies created these huge monoliths and pyramids to mark a moment in time, like the summer solstice, the winter solstice. If you go to Chichen Itza in Mexico, on the solstice, right at this specific time, down the side of the pyramid will be a beam of sunlight, and it will go all the way down and light up the serpent's head. And you will see that, or in one of the pyramids, that right at that time, a shard of light will come through a hole in the ceiling, or all of these magnificent ways to track that moment. And so from that vantage point, there are moments in time that are more auspicious than others, right? There are these moments in time where we're supposed to mark down and be present for. A time when the sun just rises up, and if you happen to be looking at it, there's nothing to do but just to watch that happen and just to be in the moment, is there? And then once the sun has come up, you're like, you get on with your day. But that's a moment in time where it's special. Something special is happening. You think about the fire rituals that you start chanting as soon as the sun peaks up or lowers down from the horizon, and not a moment before or after. These are special times. It's important to turn up to your job on time, or pick your kid up on time. So yes, not to get neurotic about it, but at the same time, circling back, there are these moments where it's important to pay attention. There is an alignment. Something's happening. There's a shift. And for those of us trying to make that moment in time, New Year's Eve, well, it can happen. There's a lot of people putting energy into that. But at the same time, maybe it's a chance to go out and blow off some steam, or maybe it is a chance to just stay home and have a bath and skip the hangover. Yeah.
I was reminded of something Cam and I have coined the term of.
Your brother?
Yeah, my brother Cam. Because before flow, we do a lot of Agnihotras and just being out in nature, out in the bush.
That's what I was trying to think of, the Agnihotra.
Yes. At sunset and sunrise, and often there's what we call pre-Agnihotra agitation, in which everyone's hustling, trying to get everything together for that moment.
Right.
And I love it though, because we've learnt to have a bit of a giggle about it, of like, everyone does get a bit neurotic to be on time.
Because if you miss it, you miss it.
Because if you miss it, you miss it, and it's a magical time. And then everyone's made it. We were skillful with time, but there was a bit of neuroses that made it happen, to hustle. And then here we are, beyond time. So like that instantly came to mind, this pre-Agnihotra anxiety. This beautiful moment, let's hustle, and similar to pre-Christmas anxiety. Everyone's hustling for this big moment. Pre-New Year's Eve anxiety, the excitement and anxiety and neurotic tendencies that can come before these beautiful moments. And that's fine. I think that's fine, but then to hone it in, anxiety, neuroses, we can bring it into valuing the moment. There's a beautiful moment, of excitement into the release, into that fire, into that sunrise, into that sunset. Because anxiety gets a bad rap, and I'm actually, while I'm talking about that, I'm looking at our friend's book. If I'm so spiritual, why am I so anxious? But anxiety can, let me, on top there, let
By
me
Joyce
show.
Stone.
Yeah,
You give
by
her a
our friend,
shout-out.
shout out to Joyce Stone. Beautiful book. She's been very candid with her journey of being a very long-term, earnest, skillful, beautiful yogini, yet her anxiety has stayed with her the whole way along. And she's written this book, If I'm So Spiritual, Why Am I Still So Anxious? How to Find Your Center and Reclaim Your Body.
Nice one, Joy.
I had a conversation with her, a podcast, which will be out in a couple weeks. But I love that because I think as yogis, we often think that we're not meant to have any anxiety left or any neuroses left, which that toxic positivity often is the term for that. Trying to be positive, trying to be a good yogi, and then not knowing what to do with all that anxiety, all those neuroses. And both this book and these Agni Hotras, the anxiety before that is good. We can then put that anxiety into the fire of a beautiful moment. It got us together. Now we don't need the anxiety. Here we are. So in terms of like, here we are in a new year, and maybe you've got some good visions and goals and things you want to manifest and cultivate, a bit of anxiety is okay. Of like, so that whole thing of what will they think, that's a big one. Doubt, like that can be, as we've talked about before, grist for the mill, and we can learn to keep breathing through it, and that actually be energizing. A lot of stand-up comedians and performers often admit that when they stop being anxious, they stop being as good. Like they're not as on point with their performance or their craft. So fear and anxiety, I think it can be good fuel. It's just that, again, that balance of not getting sucked into it, not buying into it too much. Same with time, like appreciating it and then expanding beyond it.
Absolutely. I feel complete.
That went many directions, more directions than I thought. That was good. I enjoyed that.
I hope there was something in there for you, beautiful people, as we do embark on a new year and as we do, set resolutions for ourselves, and as we do navigate this strange world that we're in right now, which is always the same world, but seems to be a little more stranger than usual. And as we, human nature to pile all of our expectations onto this year, but let us do the work of letting go of needing things to be in a certain way, and just tending to ourselves, and knowing that our true impact in the world comes from the inside, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, but wishing you a health-filled, joy-filled, grace-filled year. And many moments in this year to check in and renew.
Love you all.
Love you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year,
Happy
baby.
New Year. Love you.
Love you.